do this, man. A little college basketball action. Oh, yeah. We got Stevie Boyton who's ready to get going. Listen, no one's ever seen Gavin. Have you ever seen Gavin's real face, Steve?
I was with Gavin in Vegas 2 weekends ago for
so you
5 days.
Nobody else has. For some reason, we have a little bit of an echo. Not anymore. That's great. Gavin is just the white circle with the little person inside of it. Hello, Gavin.
What's going on, guy?
It's great to, see you. Great to hear you. This is one of the sharper people in college basketball that you're going to find. Gav, you're like, who the fuck? Trust me. This dude knows his shit. You know, Steve knows his shit. What was the run? Was it 12-4? Because I don't remember the 4 losses.
22-4 in the first weekend, which is good because, I didn't do too well on the DFS streets, but that kind of made up for it. But yeah, so good start to the tourney. A lot of the teams that Gav and I were high on throughout the year played well and are playing in this second weekend, so that helps too.
Well, we won't be talking Creighton tonight, but they will be in action coming up on Friday. And then here are the games we'll talk about. We'll do DFS, but we'll also do betting. Michigan State, Kansas State. By the way, I've rooted for Kansas State against 2 teams ever. Missouri every single year, and then that Kentucky game. So that worked out. Arkansas, UConn. A lot of people had UConn winning it all at the beginning of the season. Interested in get your thoughts on that one. Florida Atlantic and Tennessee. That line's now 5.5. Where was that line, Steve, Gavin? Where was that thing? Hasn't been sitting.
Open 4.
It opened at 4, so a lot.
But it's been at 5.5 for 2 days solid. Hasn't really budged more than 5 cents.
But the opening line was 4, you said, right? So 5.5 now. Might have gotten a bad number on that then. And then Gonzaga UCLA, which could be the game of the slate tomorrow. So we'll figure it out. Gavin, I'll come to you first, though. We'll talk bet. Let's do some DFS first. Then we can get to some betting. Michigan State, little different team this year, shooting some threes. On the Kansas State side, Marquise Noel is just a complete freaking stud. And then Boynton's going, hey, man, do we have to play this guy? Yeah, he's from New York City. They're playing in New York City. He plays in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas. Now, come on. Can you start with Noel? And do we want to build lineups around him? Yay or nay?
I mean, the worst thing you can say about him is he's one of the 5 best point guards in college basketball, I think. I mean, just elite type of playmaking, shot creation, range, leadership, the type of guy you really want to hang your hat on in March. Obviously an amazing player. K-State, as themselves. It's kind of an interesting matchup here. You have one team in Michigan State that lives in the mid-range, is highly efficient, but, has like terrible shot selection metrics versus a K-State team that, lives at the rim. I think maybe the matchup I'm most kind of hands up on is, it's Hart says K-State. I love this team, love Jerome Tang, love Noel, and obviously the Key Johnson story. But part of me has issues with the Michigan State can run a bigger lineup with like a Sissoko, Hauser, Hall type 3-4-5 that, could exploit K-State in a lot of the similar ways that Kentucky did, especially on the offensive glass. So, yeah, that's kind of the initial thought. I hope K-State wins, but head tells me Michigan State's probably the side here.
Who would be your favorite plays from this game?
Yeah, so, I mean, Michigan State, you pretty much know what you're going to get with the 3 guards, right? Hogard is going to be a little bit less minute-based than Walker, so his floor is lower, but his ceiling's higher given the rates. If I had to pick one guy from Michigan State I'm playing first, it's probably Joey Hauser, as crazy as that is to say.
Not wild.
But K-State can be had on the offensive glass. Hauser's going to contribute in, multiple aspects in terms of 3-point shooting, scoring, rebounding, et cetera. And he's shown a great floor, and he hasn't found himself in the same kind of foul trouble that he has in games or years past. So he's probably the first guy I go to, at least in this spot.
Okay. Holy shit, the Kegger's here. I haven't seen Kegger in ages. It is wonderful to have Kegger in the house. What's up, big boy? Obviously, Boynton, Gavin, myself, Holden, hanging out, talking some DFS and betting. Steve, I really want you to dig in on the DFS side. I know you got a lot of bets coming up here, and you are on the side of Gavin on a few of these, but break this thing down from a DFS side. You just talked about Hauser, right? Can you start with him and maybe run down your favorite plays from these? And who's your big fade from this game? Is there a big fade?
Yeah, so as wild as it's to say, I'm not usually a Joey Hauser guy, but he's been awesome down the stretch. 34 plus minutes in 4 straight, in the Big Ten tournament, and then the 2 games in the NCAA tournament. Really rebounding well down the stretch. He's been like his rebound rates have really popped up of late, which obviously enhances the ceiling, right? Because he's always going to be hoisting threes, scoring, but coming off the double-double against Marquette, he's had 3 straight games of exactly 30 DK points. I think there's some upside here. Kansas State is going to pace them up pretty significantly. Michigan State 302nd in tempo, K-State top 45. So all the Sparty guys are going to get a bit of a pace bump here. I think Hauser's the safest of those Sparty players. Walker, like Gavin said, more of like a gunner, microwave scorer type guy who's not going to give you much else besides that, which obviously introduces some volatility. We were on him when he was in the mid 6K range, up to 7.2 here. So yeah, Hauser definitely my favorite play. Aikens really hoard us on over the weekend. He didn't do much at 5.2 and gets the bump to 5.6. One thing we'll talk about on the DFS side is there's just not that many cheap plays on the slate. So we're going to be stretching ourselves to find some cheap plays because there are some awesome studs on the slate, like Noel, like we talked about, was just dominant in that Kentucky game, basically won the game for him late, hit a huge 3, came up 1 assist short of the double-double with assists. Gavin would know more about the specific matchup with Noel against the Sparty guards. In my head, I have it that they're better against guards than most just because they've got so much talent in their backcourt. But besides Noel, we got Key Johnson, the Florida transfer. Price has fallen a bit to 7.9. I think he's an interesting tournament play here, under 8K. He's going to play basically the entire game. Like 38 and 39 the last couple. And we've seen 40 plus fantasy point upside for him. So Key Johnson under 8K I have interest in. My favorite play I think is Gasson at 4.2. Been battling injuries late in the season. Really encouraging to see him bump up over 20 minutes last game. I think if he plays 20 plus, he'll make value here. Sparty not too intimidating inside, and like I said, value's thin. So I think he's my favorite of the cheap guys, the one I have the most confidence in. Although like on a regular slate, probably not even a guy that I'm considering. But it's a small slate and we don't have that many options. The last piece I'll mention from this game, Naquan Tomlin, the JUCO transfer, not going to project well here. But he's definitely a key piece to K-State's success. Gavin could probably talk to that too. But got bumped up to 30 minutes last game without foul issues. I think he's an interesting contrarian play in the mid-range. There's so many good mid-range plays here. And we've seen Tomlin, when he does get that 30-plus minutes, have big-time upside. There's like a 6'10" wing forward. So, there's a lot of good plays in this game. My main notes are the Sparty up tempo, the value in Gasson and Noel if you want to spend up at guard. As far as the game, I've been fading Sparty a lot of the season. I really like this K-State team, so I'll be rooting for K-State, but I don't have a bet in this game.
Okay. So no bets there. And then again, Gav, this thing, it was at 2. Now it's 1.5 point favorites, Michigan State, 137.5. Is there a best bet here, or do we move on to the next game?
No. I don't think this is the spot for the 4 games to have a best bet personally.
All right, cool. Thumbs up would be great. That'd be really nice. Go and tell your friends about this show. That'll be great too. Abe Toro. Oh man, this dummy that doesn't turn his camera on is back. Nothing to do with money. Just don't know how you do a YouTube show with no camera. I'll say this. I would not have allowed it if he didn't have such good information. So it's about as simple as that. I mean, if the guy sucks,
always fishing. So
imagine that too. Imagine like being so good that you don't have to have your camera on. It's fascinating. Matt Cohen, all he does is give Fukin winners. He does. Gives us thumbs up for Gavin. Arkansas, UConn. Here we go. Of course, we got to wait on these injuries from the DFS side. But again, Gav, UConn 4-point favorites, 139.5 is the total here. And this UConn team, man, they are primed. They really are primed. I don't know where you want to go starting to build a DFS lineup or betting here, but by all means, just take it. Is Andre Jackson Jr., I guess that's the guy I want to ask you about, playing a lot of minutes here. Is he a guy we should be looking at DFS? And what do you think about this from a betting side?
Yeah, Jackson, look, there's probably 6 guards alone in the 6K range in this game that are in play. So sifting through that and who, has upside versus who are we chasing, I think is going to be maybe one of the keys to the slate, because a lot of ownership is going to come in on this game with just the underpriced pieces. I think it's more from a game context. I think it's the most interesting X's and O's matchup. Like, Eric Musselman is such a scout-conscious guy. Like, with a week to prep, and Arkansas clearly, giving up size on the interior to Sanogo/Klingon. What does he do, defensive-wise? It could be anything from trying to run, just rotating the Mitchell brothers with Graham and Kamani Johnson to, running like a Jordan Walsh small ball 5 and doubling everything in the post. It scares me a little bit. Arkansas is a dangerous team with a lot of pro talent, but I still think, like you said, UConn is pretty primed for this spot. They really, other than a 2-week, 3-week stretch during the season, have been one of the top 5 to add worst 10 teams in the nation. Do worry you're giving up a little bit in the coaching department with Dan Hurley to Eric Musselman, but still have UConn parlayed up with Houston in this spot. Don't really want to lay the 4 when it was at 3, I think, on the opener. So that's kind of where I'm at least game scenario, and then DFS wise, like I said, sifting through these 6K guys probably makes or breaks.
Okay, very good. Speaking of have you ever been to the Mitchell brothers in San Francisco, Gav?
Negative. I try not to ever go farther north than Santa Barbara.
Okay, well, if you're ever there, I say check out the Mitchell brothers place. It's basically a public sex club with women that are no less than 9s on a scale of 10. It's a good time, Gav.
Suddenly we're interested.
Noted.
Duly noted. If you ever break your rule. So you like UConn here, right?
Yeah.
Boynton, you like UConn?
Yeah, we did
hold on, time out. What's with the echo, though? What's going on here?
Do I have an echo? I usually don't.
That was me. There was some echo going on. No worries. Do you have UConn in this game -4?
Yeah, I took UConn at open at the 3 or the 3.5. I think we might get it going the other way. I assume tomorrow, once we get the news that all of the Arkansas guys are going to play. So I would just hold out. I think we see the 3.5. So I do like UConn on our show Wednesday night that I did with Kurt and JJ. I had UConn winning it all. We got some UConn tickets from earlier in the season. Just kind of echo what Gavin said. This is a top 5-8 team as a 4 seed. So we had the Arkansas bet over the weekend over Kansas. Sorry about that hold. And I just, we talked about it first. Just a tough matchup. I kind of have the same concerns here with UConn. Like, they're giving up talent in this game, NBA talent. But the issue with Arkansas is that both of the NBA guys are hurt. If you watch that Kansas game over the weekend, Anthony Black and Nick Smith just couldn't move. They were basically out there as decoys, which was annoying because we talked about them on that show, and we really liked the price tags. I played them, and they were just basically a non-factor. So that forced Devo Davis and Ricky Council basically into playing ISO ball for the last 28 of the game or so. They've had 3 or 4 days to rest here. So, it's just tough to click them again, right? Because, they just burned us. So in our playbook, I haven't written anything up on that. I do want to wait to see, Gav, like if we get something early in the day on Anthony Black or Smith. The last I've heard from Black is that he's been in a boot since the game. They said on the broadcast that neither guy would have played if it was a regular season game. Like, these are just not encouraging things that make you want to click these guys. But then on the other hand, you've got arguably a top 10 pick under 6K in Nick Smith. So like Gav said, I think getting the Nick Smith up to Anthony Black range from this game is like super important. I'll start with the UConn guys just because it's easier, and they've basically been the same the whole year. The big news of the slate is that the UConn guys are just severely underpriced. I'll start at the top. Sonogo's been over 8K like the whole season. 2 pretty easy wins for UConn the first weekend, so they didn't really have to push him. In games that they get pushed is when he sees like the 30, 31 minutes. And those are the games where he can just show just massive, massive ceiling. So if Arkansas pushes him this game, and we do have a 4-point spread with the team total of 75, which I think is second best on the slate. I love the upside of him, especially in tournaments. And then the Jackson, Newton, Hawkins trio. Man, I love all 3 of these plays. We've been high on Jackson all season. If you've been watching our shows every Saturday, the peripherals are always reliable for him. The big news is that he's back to playing mid-30s minutes. I'm not sure what happened there, Gav, like in late January. Maybe he was dealing with an illness or something, but he's back to his full role where he was in the low 7Ks for most of the season. Same with Tristan Newton, the point guard. Assist rate north of 30%. He's shown some games with like huge upside. I know Big T got his qualifier seat with a 50 burger from Tristan Newton. You just don't get guys with that kind of upside at 6K. And then probably the best play on the slate in my eyes is Jordan Hawkins at 6K. 2 early fouls in each of the 2 tournament games. He also fouled twice in the second half of last game. So like the minutes have been down, but I expect him to play low to mid 30s here in a huge pace up spot. He's fine to be a first round pick. He's playing against first round picks, probably the guy going under the radar in NBA circles in this game. I bet that after this game, we hear national guys like, oh, this Jordan Hawkins guy is going to be a first round pick too. He's been that the entire season, but I think Hawkins has a monster game here. And then lastly, I do want to mention Klingon, the backup center. This is kind of in the vein of there not being any value. So he's been around 6K for what feels like 2 months. We haven't even had to consider him because he was just overpriced. But this dude has some serious rates. He has like Zach Edey per minute rates. He's behind Sonogo, so he plays 10 to 15 minutes. But in those 15 minutes, he can pay off this price tag. And if you do get a Sonogo foul game, I'm pretty confident that he's going to be in the optimal. So
don't play both. Don't play Sonogo and Klingon together.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. So if you're playing multiple lineups, I would make that rule. But yeah, if Sonogo fouls here and Klingon plays like 20 minutes, he could put up 35 at 4,700. So really, really intriguing upside play on a small slate without that many good plays under 5K. I've got him starred for sure. I know I just rambled a bunch, so I'll let Gavin get his thoughts in here too.
No, that was good too, because now we got Klingon and Gesson are the 2 values that you've talked about so far. What else, Gavin? Anything else here? We talked about the spread going to 4. Stevie got me on it at 3.5. I don't know where you are with this with UConn, but how do we handle this Arkansas thing? Just wait for the news.
I'm like 99.9% sure these guys play. If they, played as many minutes as they did on the quick turnaround against Kansas last weekend, I'd be pretty shocked if with the added rest, and days to recover, the way these kids just regenerate, at their age, I'd just be shocked if they didn't play. I would expect them to play. Now, maybe Nick Smith doesn't play, the fully allotted minutes. I don't even know why he's playing if he's not going to be playing full minutes. Like, if he's not fully healthy, just scrap it, dude, and go to the draft. But the other thing I wanted to touch on was, talking about if you want to pair up guards from the same team, like what I'm going to do, I know, is I'm just going to play Andre Jackson and Jordan Hawkins and move on. Both of those guys reach their ceilings in completely different fashions. I'd be less apt to play a Newton and Jackson because a lot more times when they're reaching their ceiling, it's off the back of peripherals versus a Hawkins who can just nuke from 3 any given game. And like UConn, top 10 assist rate in the country, you don't beat Arkansas by just trying to out ISO them with their NBA length and defenders. They'll run Hawkins off staggered all game long against those guys. So I think that's where I'm starting, and that's how I would kind of pair it. Same thing with the 2 healthy guards on Arkansas. Ricky Council a little bit more point reliant, Devo Davis a little bit more reliable in the peripheral stats. So I wouldn't be afraid to pair up or even play 3 guards from this game, honestly.
Okay, right on. Let's move on. Thumbs up. Like button would be great. Look, we got Steve, we got Gavin. I mean, I'm just a handsome man over here sitting around doing that. I got to fucking shave though. Steve, have you ever grown a beard?
I grow a terrible beard. It's like patchy and not full. So I go multiple days without shaving, but I don't grow a beard intentionally. No.
You're lucky. Is it like white too? Is it like a white beard? Like a blonde beard?
It's like a Jaime Jaquez beard.
Oh, okay.
Just jet black.
It's a jet black beard. Love it. I got a gray beard now. Apparently, salt and pepper is sexy to women, even in their 20s. So just remember that, Steve.
That's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah, you're single, right? Yeah. All right, we got another one. We got Florida Atlantic, my favorite team visually to watch. Very, very fun. Love these 2 little guards back there. So we got Florida Atlantic taking on Tennessee. This thing open in Tennessee, 5.5 point favorites. 130.5 is the total. Let me just check out, see another site here if they updated this thing. Yeah, 5.5, 129.5. There you go. Gavin, we did really well with the 2 guards in DFS from FAU last round. Get your thoughts on this game as a whole, but are the pieces from FAU going to be as effective this week as they were in the round of 32?
Yeah. I don't know if you can find a more polarizing, different matchup, game to game than going from FDU to Tennessee, right? I mean, like the worst defense in the nation to the best, a bunch of pocket-sized little kids versus like physical grown-ass men who just beat the shit out of you all game. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. I haven't really been playing guys against Tennessee this year, just as a rule, given how good that defense is. That being said, FAU does, match up stylistically relatively well, given, it's kind of a 4-round 1 offense. They have a 7-footer in Vlad Golden they can stick down there, at least to try and, not get brutalized on the offensive glass, which, they still likely could. But, it's an elite spacing team with, solid perimeter shot making. So, and Tennessee is going to force you to shoot over the top of them. I want to get on FAU. I'm usually not into these kind of hipster dog plays, and this is absolutely one of them. But what I'm thinking is, do I try to risk it full game, or can they just get hot from the first half and maybe take a first half money line when, everybody and their mother bet on Duke last week? They didn't, value be damned, they were betting Duke with their pension funds, and it was just a terrible side. Regardless, matchup was tough. And now all those people who lost their money on Duke are going, oh, this Tennessee team is so damn good after what we just saw them do against Duke. Well, we just saw them the round before let a Louisiana team hang within 1 point until, 20 seconds left. I mean, that team can go bone dry from offense. I think I might look at that FAU the first half money line or spread the more I think about it, because just over the 40-minute stretch getting crock-potted by those guys, man. It's going to be a tough go, but it's a deep rotation team, so maybe that alleviates some of that concern.
Okay, Steve, talk to me here. How is this game playing out, and do we go back to the FAU guards?
Yeah, so our plays of the day on Sunday were the 2 FAU guards. John L. Davis goes up and puts up 64 for us. But you got to know when to pull the plug, and this is it. I don't think I've rostered a guy against Tennessee all season. We're 5 months in. I don't think I'm going to start rostering guys in the Sweet 16 against them.
Okay.
I do I'm with Gavin. I want to fade Tennessee as we get deeper in this tournament. I just don't know if this is the spot. This is the worst total on the slate. I don't really know what I want to do here. I'm definitely not playing the FAU guys. We saw Meshack was popular on Sunday after being a really good play on Friday night, and like the floor just left him. Like he played like 19 minutes. He was awful offensively. He was turning the ball over. Just a disaster game against Duke. But again, like there aren't that many plays under 5K. I think if you're playing multiple teams, I think he could bounce back here. You know, he's going to start again. Just know that he's a freshman starting on a team in the Sweet 16 where if he fucks up, like they're going to pull him. Like they need to win this game. So we did play Plavsic against Duke at 3-7. He was basically sent out there to be like a bruiser, to piss off and to get under Filipowski's skin. And it kind of worked. Like Filipowski had a below average game. But for DFS, what that meant for us was Plavsic going out and clotheslining him twice in the first 90 seconds of the game and then sitting a lot. I think he's got upside for 18 to 20 minutes here. And under 4K is very, very grim. So, if you can hold your nose and play a guy who fouled twice in the first 90 seconds last game, I think Plavsic is in play. Like if you want to play a high-end stud, like a Jaquez or a Timmy or a Noel, I think he's in play here. I'll let Gavin talk about the guards for Tennessee because I think that he likes especially JJJ more than I do.
Do you like Jordan James, Gavin?
Yeah, look. Yeah, I mean, he just played against Duke in a game environment that's going to look, pretty similar to this, like high 120s total. He got 12 shots with no efficiency. When you look at all the 6K guards, I don't know if any of these guards, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, like have had a triple-double before. I'm pretty sure JJJ had, triple-doubles last year. Is he still the same this year off the knee? Yada, yada. I tend to think that he goes pretty overlooked with these other 6K guys. And I think, some of his peripheral stats not only raise his floor, but also could potentially put his ceiling over the top of some of the other guys if he is scoring. And, he's going to have a large, substantial physical advantage at the guard spot with a lot of these little, more kind of scat point guards, quick little fast guys that try to shoot threes. So, yeah, I may mainline him just as a spot to get some leverage to like on a 4-game slate. You don't got to get too crazy, but just like 1 or 2 plays. I think JJJ is interesting to look at for that.
Yeah, so Gav, I think what's interesting with him, like if you choose him over like a popular Ricky Council or something, I think that he can definitely outscore Council, especially if those other Arkansas guys come back healthier than they looked on Sunday. Stuff
the
like
other
that.
thing, dude, I don't really love the game environment for Arkansas and UConn. Like we've seen UConn zone teams, and we saw a bunch of SEC teams zone Arkansas down the stretch and watch them struggle. I don't think UConn is going to want to play the up and down game with these guys. There's no reason to. They're better in them, in the half court. I just don't see this game. I think it's, paced for 69 possessions on Ken Palm. I mean, I could definitely see it going lower than that, and I can see like lack of efficiency in that game. So it's not like it's the pricing that makes the Arkansas UConn guys good. But like you said, I think JJJ has higher ceilings than a couple of those guys.
Where are you on that, Steve?
Yeah, I struggle with JJJ. I don't play him much, but it is interesting in this price range, just taking a guy who has similar upside as a more owned player. We didn't talk about Vescovi at 7.5, I think he is. Had the early foul game in the first round, but bumped right back up to 38 minutes against Duke. Without Ziegler, he's going to have to play nearly the entire game. FAU paces them up a bit here and plays in transition a bit. I think Vescovi is interesting at 7.5. He just seems like super, super safe to get you right around 30. I don't know if he has huge upside ceiling that, because you're only 300 from a Sonogo, right? But I think he is a safe play there at 7.5.
All right. Any final thoughts, either one of you, on Florida Atlantic, Tennessee, or we move on to the game du jour? Okay, the game du jour it is. Yep. Thumbs up. Give us a like button. That'd be great. Tell your friends about the show, whether they're betting, playing DFS, or they're bored and they just want to, look at the screen. That'd be great. So we got Gonzaga, UCLA. We got the 2 and the 3 matchup. And this was UCLA 2-point favorites. I'm seeing it most places 1.5 now. Hardiest total on the slate, 145.5, boys. The Gonzaga money lines come down, though. I'm seeing a best price of plus 105, minus 125 for UCLA. Okay, Gavin. General thoughts on this. If you want to start betting, with the betting side, that's fine. DFS side, that's fine. I'll just hand it over to you with the Zags and the Bruins.
Yeah, the two cream of the West Coast right here, the West Coast crop. Obviously, like I said before, two just polarizingly different teams. Gonzaga wants to get up and down and use their speed and shot making on the perimeter, if not dumping it into Timmy for a one-on-one. UCLA is going to slow it down, pack it in, make you shoot over the top, and just kind of grind you out in these slow possession affairs. The one thing I was looking at kind of Gonzaga's schedule this morning, like there's a very real alternate world where Gonzaga comes into this game on a 30-game win streak. Like they lose to St. Mary's in overtime when they completely melted. They lose on a game winner to Cam Shelton at LMU, and they lose by 1 to Baylor in South Dakota. Like other than that, they hadn't lost since like November at the PKM versus Purdue. I mean, so it's arguably one of the hottest teams in the nation. Offense is just firing on all cylinders, and UCLA's got, the injury concerns coming in. Now, I think it's similar to the Arkansas guys in that both are hobbled. I'd be shocked if neither one played or either one didn't play. So, yeah, I think pretty good game. DFS-wise, we're obviously going to have to find some spots, and this is probably the first place I look, for your first spend up.
All right, let's go DFS side here, Steve. Do you want to go Timmy? You want to pay up for Timmy there? I know Hawkes is 10K. Bona, if he plays, is probably the cheapest option, or maybe Hickman in this game, but your values are sitting there in the mid 5K range. Are we paying up for any of these guys?
Yeah. First of all, this is a cool matchup, right? This is the Jalen Suggs half court shot in the Final Four, I believe, was against UCLA. This is also the Adam Morrison loss where he was crying on the court. I believe that was against UCLA too. Yeah. So really cool matchup here. Yeah, I mean, two All-Americans here. We got Hawkes at 10K, the highest price on the slate. But, he kind of has deserved it ever since they lost Jalen Clark. Just max minutes, the usage has gone up. He gets a huge pace up here. I do think that Hawkes is feels like he's safe for like 40 here. It's the net spot on the slate. It's the highest team total. So this is where you have to make those decisions, right? Like, are you comfortable playing like a Gassan and a Plavsic to get to a Jaime Hawkes? So those are the decisions that you have to make tomorrow. Under Hawkes, we got Tiger Campbell at 7-9, playing huge minutes and, without Clark, higher usage. But I prefer Amari Bailey at 7K to Tiger Campbell. He was kind of lying in the weeds after the injury. But with the Clark injury, he has really been the guy that has ignited this team. I was skeptical on this team coming in after the Clark injury, but man, Bailey has just taken those reins, especially offensively. It was 5-star Frosh coming in, like top 8 recruit. I could see him bumping up draft boards with a big game here too. Love the play. He's been super consistent since the Clark injury, like just pulling up his box scores since March 9th, 36, 20, 30, 35, 30. So I really like him at 7K here. Just another guy in that range. That's a great play, probably underpriced. And then Bona, we mentioned, starting center, has the shoulder injury. Like if we get news during the day that he's more of a full go than we think, I think he's in play at 5.5. Probably more of like a pivot play if you're down, because no one's going to have him. And 5.5, if he does play the minutes that he was playing before the injury is just a touch too cheap. So I do like Bona as a pivot. I'll let Gavin talk about anyone cheaper on the UCLA side. And then Gonzaga side, Timmy at 8-9, Gav, I mean, that's got to be the cheapest he's been all year. Tough, slow interior matchup here for Timmy, so not like a gold star matchup for him, but we've seen him just crush teams in the tournament. They kind of let off the gas in a lot of their conference matchups, but when Gonzaga plays close games, that's when we really see the ceilings of the Drew Timmies and the Anton Watsons and the Strothers and stuff, because they push them to those mid-30s minutes. And, it's a huge difference when you play a 9K guy getting 27 minutes versus 33, 34 when the per minute rates are so good. He's coming off taking 21 shots against TCU. Gotta love Timmy here despite the tough matchup. You just trust the All-American to get it done in tough spots. He was good in the non-conference, crushed Bama for 46, had 44 against Washington, had 61 against Kentucky, over 30 against Xavier, 43 against Purdue, 35 against Kentucky. Yeah, so I'm 48 against Sparty. So yeah, I mean, he's been here. The price is enticing. I myself just haven't decided which spend I'm going with yet. So I can't say anything with any certainty here. And then real quick, Anton Watson, I think gets the toughest matchup with Jaquez on him, but he's been so good in this tournament. Timmy will get all the fanfare, but Anton Watson is coming off back-to-back just dominant games, 37 minutes in each game, 39 and 37 DK, 11 and 12 rebounds. I don't mind Watson despite the tough matchup. Probably like we have with Bona, more of like a swap play if you have a bust early or something, just because he does have the upside to beat Timmy in this game. We had Nolan Hickman as a core play on Sunday. He landed on his head in the first 5 minutes of this game and then just kind of stood in the corner. played 30 and just kind of stood in the corner. So I think he could bounce back here and on a slate with more value. I don't think he would be in play, but there's just aren't that many guys below 6K that you have any trust in. And if you've got a guy playing 30 plus minutes, I think he's got to be in the pool. I think he's probably fine. But yeah, that was pretty hurtful on Sunday. We had a member who needed 13 from him to move on in the Mania and just didn't get there. So that was tough. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously a nut game. We're going to want pieces. There just aren't any slam dunk clear plays to me except Bailey. But I do want to hear what Gavin says.
So just Bailey. So you're talking about Timmy, you're stroking him, but Bailey's the play.
Well, I think we're going to have multiple pieces, but I think Bailey's the best play from this game.
Okay. Very good. What do you think, Gav?
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to play Timmy and move on. He's probably 1,000 underpriced in this spot, Steve. He checks the box of the golden rule. Just play the guy who's 1,000 underpriced every slate. You'll find yourself in good spots at the end. One guy that Steve didn't touch on that I still if you want to get greasy in some of the larger field stuff, we're going to have some of the bigger size contests that we've had all year. And a lot of times, the fields aren't even large enough to where you have to get, so off the reservation. But there's a couple ways that Kenneth Nwuba gets there on value. He gets there on health. If Bona's less than 100% and just can't move as well or getting blended by Timmy, he gets there from fouls by Bona. And he gets there by, if Bona's just getting blended, Mick Cronin will maybe just try to swap him out. I mean, you got to do something versus when Chris Beard just let Timmy go one-on-one against Texas 2 years ago.
Just shredded him.
Play in and play out, no adjustment, fuck it. Mick Cronin will make an adjustment of some sort. So, you're comparing Nwuba to a Plavsic, where Plavsic is coming off a game where we knew he was going to be a necessary component in terms of defending a team that arguably has the largest twin tower lineup in the country in Filipowski and Lively. Now you're playing a 4-round-1 offense, and they could easily space or run you off the floor if he's playing alongside like an Adu or something like that, versus Adu will be fine guarding Golden himself. I can see where like Plopsic's minutes floor is really low in the same way that Nwuba's is. So if I have like, whatever's the $200 difference or something, and I'm on a chalky lineup, I don't really mind that, frankly.
Okay. So, Steve, just real quick, you're on the Zags.
Yeah. So my bet here was Gonzaga plus 115. I believe I got. I've been selling this UCLA team in big spots since the Clark injury. We did it in the Pac-12 championship game against Zona, and I've been waiting for this game to do it here. I'm glad that we got Gonzaga plus money. Like Gav said, this Gonzaga team, could conceivably be on like a 29-game win streak right now, if not for an overtime slip up. I worry a bit about the defense, but at some point in this tournament, that Jalen Clark injury is going to bite him in the ass. And why not it come against the best offense in the country? And I believe you sort on Bart Torvik, like a top 3 team in the country since the end of January. So I'm buying Gonzaga. I think it'd be kind of strange if this is the year that they do it when they don't have the NBA guys. But, this team's dangerous. Their offense is just clicking at another level right now with Anton Watson playing so well. And yeah, I like him in this game. But I mean, it's not my favorite bet of the weekend, but I did bet the game plus 115.
All right, you guys want to give a favorite play and a favorite bet, and we'll get out of here. Gav, favorite play on the DFS slate tomorrow. What would it be? Is it Timmy? Is it someone else?
No, well, yeah, Timmy's kind of easy.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Josiah Jordan James, honestly. And when I do favorite plays, I do like non-chalk guys. So
okay, good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Josiah Jordan James. I think it's a sneaky strong play at mid-6s to get different from a lot of people.
Josiah Jordan James. Okay, what about you, Steve?
Yeah, so my favorite bet's going to be Connecticut. And then I also want to mention, since you do have to get this in before we'll do possibly the show for Friday, is I'm tying Connecticut money line to Houston and then also to Bama. So, you get just over even money tying UConn to Bama and UConn to Houston. So like a quick 2-game MLP there. I like that a lot, and if you want, you can add in Creighton for a little extra juice. As far as DFS, I'm going to ride with a guy that, we've been trying to play the whole year. Glad to see him back in the good graces. I'm going to go with Andre Jackson. I think that he is fully back in. Gav talked about a guy possibly getting a triple-double. I think Jackson probably has one in his career, Gav. And if not, I'm scrolling through his box scores. He was pretty effing close about a half dozen times this year.
Yeah, he might have been a rebound away or something like that, I remember.
Yeah, so we'll go with 2 guys with triple-double upside in the 6K range. And I also like Jackson's assist prop. I didn't mention that, over 3.5. Coming off back-to-back 7s. I think that number is a bit lower just because of the lull that he had in the middle of the season. But this role and minutes combo, if he doesn't get 4 assists in this game, UConn's probably in trouble. So that Jackson-Hawkins combo, I guess, is my favorite spot of the slate.
Jackson-Hawkins. Very good, boys. Good show. We'll try and get a Friday slate out to you. We got to figure out the timing there, but we'll definitely try and get you a Friday slate as well. Gavin, thanks for stopping by, dude. Steve, of course, as always. And thanks to everybody that watched. Make sure you give us a little like button on the way out. That would be terrific. And once again, thanks for checking out a little March Madness show here on Run Pure Sports.